Sorry for the novella. I was traveling solo around Washington State and making various stops in the Olympic National Park. I decided to stop in Quinault for the first time and took a random road that dead-ended at a beautiful spot at the edge of the Quinault River. Upon arriving, I noticed there was an ancient footbridge that led across the river, but based on the condition it was in, there was a chance it could collapse if I tried to cross it, so I decided not to. It was off-season and I was not in a tourist area. I was all alone. It was so unusually hot outside that I decided that I needed to get in the river. I backed my car all the way to the edge of the road. I got out and seen there was no path, so I started hiking through thick brush and made my way to the edge of the water. It was mid-fall and I didn't have a bathing suit since I didn't plan on swimming, so I just took off my clothes and got in the water in my bra and underwear. I had a nice swim, but I cannot shake the feeling that I was being watched, even though I was in the middle of nowhere. After about 5 minutes, my intuition was telling me to head back, so I started to climb out and walk towards my clothes and shoes with my back turned away from the river. When I turned around, there was a big, tall man standing in plain sight on the other side of the river, but higher up on his embankment than I was on mine. He was wearing a poncho made of animal pelts, had long hair full of sticks and twigs, and looked like he had been living in the wild for a very long time. I stood frozen, standing with terror. We stared at each other for what felt like forever, when all of a sudden he frantically took off in the direction of the footbridge, leading across the water. I grabbed my car key, tried to grab my clothes, but they got tangled up in the bushes, so I left everything. I was running for my life, going through the thick brush and blackberries, barefoot in my underwear. I was trying desperately to make it to my car before he makes it across the river. There was no doubt in my mind that he was trying to harm me. When I made it out of the bushes, I can see he was rapidly crossing the bridge toward me. I got to my car and flung the door open just as he arrived. I locked the doors while he pounded on the hood of my car, just screaming and grunting non-verbally. The moment he went from my driver door, I hit the gas and I took off as fast as I could. I looked back and he was chasing after me. He must have run after my car for at least a mile until he faded from view. I was bleeding everywhere from running nearly naked through the rough bushes. I was wet, unclothed, shaking, and crying. Had I hesitated for literally 10 seconds longer, I don't think I would have made it out alive. Even telling this story again after all these years later, it still feels like I'm reliving that horrible experience. I felt like I was being hunted. That's the only way I can describe it. I will never go back to that area. Since that moment, I always bring a hiking buddy with me when I venture into the forest. That day is going to haunt me for life. I've had many years of therapy, and that experience is still as vivid as the day it happened.